Hey guys, I wanted to bring on Troy Dean of WPElevation today to talk about what's going on in his world. But what really interested me was how he is selling through Messenger to his Facebook group, his $1,500 program. But before we get into that, I want to rewind back and kind of say, welcome, Troy, to my group. Thank you so much for hopping in today. I know you're super busy. I want to let the rest, for those of my group who don't know who you are, I want them to get to know your origin story. So my first question is, what got you into this crazy online world of WordPress, being such a WordPress expert and helping other people set up their businesses focused on agency and WordPress?
Sure. So I was, well, it's a long story. I'll give you the short version. I was freelancing in my early 30s and doing voiceovers. And so I started promoting myself as a voiceover artist by building my own website. And then I was working a lot in the film industry here in Melbourne, doing voiceovers on post-production stuff for film and television. And a lot of people in the film and TV industry also wanted websites. And so they started asking me to build websites for them. And then they started offering to, kind of pay me good money to build websites. So I figured I had to work out how to do it properly. And then I grew an agency. And then I started sharing what was working for me online, and we had a little WordPress plugin that we were selling, and I started building an email list out of that WordPress plugin. And then I just started communicating with our email list and asking them what they wanted and what their problems were, and they started asking me for help. And so I kind of had this theory, and I was following a guy back in 2010. I started following a guy named Brendan Bouchard, who absolutely changed my life. And he's super animated, and he's like a game show host. And a lot of people, you either love him or hate him. And I love him. I think he's awesome. But I went through one of his programs, and he taught me in that program how to create digital products and how to sell digital products. And so then I had this theory that I could monetize my audience and sell them basically business coaching for web design freelancers and agencies. And I started that in 2013. We validated the idea by just selling tickets to a webinar. Before we even built the webinar, we did about 10 grand in 2 days. And then I ran the webinar, and then we asked everyone after the webinar what they wanted. And they all kind of said they wanted a membership website, and they wanted to hang out, and they wanted to do coaching calls and a forum and all that kind of stuff. This is back in 2013. So we built the membership website. And then in 2015, we repackaged it up into a course, and we did a big launch of our first course. And that was a 6-figure launch. And then it's just been a train ever since then. We've got multiple courses now. We have a $25,000 a year mastermind program for our high-end agencies, and a whole bunch of courses and a membership. So that's kind of got us to where we are now.
Wow. That's a wild ride. Yeah. All the way since
it's been a wild ride. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I've been studying this whole digital marketing thing really since about 2008, 2009, when I first started following Ed Dale here in Australia. And then I went down the rabbit hole, man, and just followed the breadcrumbs, and ended up following everyone, Ryan Dye and Brendan Bouchard and Jeff Walker and all those dudes, and Frank Kern and all those guys, and just learnt heaps and just applied it and made heaps of mistakes, and got up and just kept going until we found what works. And now we've got a real little nice groove going on now. We've got a good team, and we've got good customers, and we're in growth mode, and everything's good.
That's amazing. Yeah. From your journey, it seems like you just you learn and apply, make mistakes, and just keep on going. And that's a very inspirational way of saying, hey, you just got to go through it. You just got to do it and make mistakes, but continue on forward. I want to ask you, and that tells me that how you approach things. What is, how do you consume information now? What do you buy into masterminds? How do you consume, implement now? And what is that decision making process that you go through to look at your next move?
That's a very, very good question, and it's changed. So really what I'm getting better at, because in the past it's been like an all-you-can-eat buffet, right? I'm just like, give me everything. I want to eat everything at once, right?
Yeah.
And what happens is my poor team, what happens is they're like, I start 15 different projects every week, and they have to try and either, clean up the mess and then we shut down stuff that doesn't work all the time. And so what we're doing now, what we're getting better at doing now is going, all right, what is the goal? First of all, what's the goal? And what's the obvious channel that we're going to use to achieve that goal? So the example now is our mastermind has experienced incredible growth in recent times from our Facebook group. And that's because we hired an outreach team who do an amazing job of interacting with people in Facebook Messenger as me, and have conversations and book people into phone calls, and then people join our mastermind program. And the growth there has been so consistent that it's made me pay attention to it and go, oh, hang on a second. What if we just went all in on growing this group? Like, what would that look like? Because, we've got 6,500 people in the free group at the moment. What happens if we get 20,000 people in that group and we convert them into our mastermind members? Well, for me, it's a clear path to get to 8 figures a year by growing our mastermind from our free Facebook group. So the goal is to grow our mastermind program, and we have our online course shop and our kind of freelance community as well that is still growing. But really, the most of the effort we're putting into is growing the mastermind. And then what happened is, I go, okay, there's a couple of channels we can use here. We can use Facebook ads, it's like, first of all, a bit of context. If you've got a mastermind that's worth $20,000 or $25,000 a year, you're going to have to be prepared to spend anywhere from, $1,500 to $6,000 to acquire a customer off Facebook ads, right? It's expensive to get cold traffic from Facebook into a $25,000 a year mastermind. It's much easier to get them out of a Facebook group into a $25,000 a year mastermind because you add value in that Facebook group. So for me, it was like, all right, there's a couple of channels we can explore here. The obvious one is the Facebook group. How do we grow the Facebook group? So I went searching for some automation on how to grow a Facebook group, and I came across a whole bunch of Chrome extensions which allow you to get email addresses out of a Facebook group into your CRM, and that's how I found GroupConvert. And then, so to answer your question, I make decisions very quickly. I'm like,
you do.
I need to hire 2 people. I need to hire one person to teach us how to grow a Facebook group, and then I need to hire someone to implement what we're about to learn, because I haven't got time to do it. So we hired Emily, who's a customer of ours, who's just had a baby a few months ago. And so she's just kind of coming back from maternity leave, and she's got some bandwidth. And I've hired her 4 days a week to run our Facebook group. And then I found this little Chrome extension called GroupConvert and went down the Kim Dang rabbit hole, and eventually went, hey, I'm just going to hire Kim to teach Emily how to grow Facebook groups. So I removed myself from the equation, just get Emily hooked up with your stuff. And now Emily's starting to implement what she's learning from you. So the answer to your question is, I look at what I'm trying to achieve, and then I ask, who do I need to help me do this? Because if I try and do it myself, it's going to take 3 years, because I'm trying to run a business. And so the next play for us next year will probably be YouTube. And I'll do the same thing. I'll go, right, we've got a videographer on staff. His job will be to grow the YouTube channel. Who's the best YouTube growth dude on the planet? We'll just hire him or her to teach Max, our videographer, how to grow YouTube. And we just do one channel at a time. In the past, I've tried to do all channels at the same time, and you can't. So now I'm just focused on doing one channel at a time. And so now I'm more intentional about the content I consume, because I'm looking for something specific rather than what I used to do, which is just to react to an opportunity that comes in front of me, where I see an ad on Facebook, or I'll listen to a podcast, and then I'll come to the team and I'll be like, oh my God, we need to go all in on Instagram, and everyone's going in on Instagram. And my team are like, oh God, what's he doing? So now we're a little more intentional about our education and our application of that education.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. The way that you think, and And coming from someone who's been in the industry and thinking about digital marketing since 2008 and then getting a good start in 2013 all the way till now, it's very, I feel kind of like, wow, you kind of reinforce the fact that this channel, this Facebook group channel, is a channel to focus on now during these times. And definitely. What's really interesting to me, and I know you act really fast because you just Google it, you find in the whole Googling process, you find a Chrome extension, and that led into my world, and then it led into a high ticket offer in my world that I can help you with. And you're just like, okay, yes. You just go and fill in the gaps with people. And for me, a lot of people that I do talk to who are at your level, that like that's their process, because first of all, you do have some funds in order to just throw at it. But for the people who don't have so much funding, they're like, hey, I'm just gonna go at this by myself, and I'm gonna try to figure out the answers by myself. And it's so backwards to how you operate. And so,
but I will say this. I will say this. When I first started out, I had no money, so I was doing everything myself, right? And the mistake I made, and I've been doing this a long time now, and I reckon I could have done it in like a quarter of the time if I'd focused on one channel at a time, right? And so that's the big message. The big learning for me is, you know, trying to like, I started a podcast, we started a blog, we started a YouTube channel, we, you know, started Facebook groups. I was speaking on stages, I was doing summits, I was doing everything. And if you're a small team or it's just you and you're trying to do everything yourself, just focus on one channel at a time. And I've been saying this long time before I met you. I've been saying that the one channel that you should be focusing on now is Facebook groups, because that's where everyone is. A, because it's a great way to connect, but B, because of the pandemic, we're more isolated now than ever. So we want to connect more than ever. And Facebook groups are the easiest way to do that and the best way to do that. So I think having a really engaged Facebook group is more important than having an email list. So I've been saying that for a long time. And that's why now we're all in on Facebook groups and everything else is on hold until we've got our Facebook group running like a well-oiled military machine. Then we'll look to the next channel and we'll just start dialing in one channel at a time.
Yeah, and one channel at a time. I want to speak a little bit to that. Our client, one of our clients in the Ignite community, she did a $70,000 launch on her first launch to a Facebook group, completely brand new. And what she learned was that, and this is, I've been saying this, Facebook groups are the glue to the other moving pieces in your world, because it will engage people into your higher mastermind. But because she had a podcast for a long time, it was just her voice in their ear for a long time. A Facebook group gave them a visual, gave them a way to communicate back. So it's not a one-way communication point. And so she's bringing all these people from her podcast into this container that allows them to have social proof and be able to follow other people as they get into her program. So whenever someone enters her program, it would be like, oh, so-and-so just got into my program, congratulations. And then others see that as a point of, you know, I don't know, you know, at live events when it's like stand up, if you're willing to commit to yourself, stand up if you're willing to get in, walk to the back of the room. So it's the equivalent of that in one post. So it's actually
exactly
cool. Hey guys jumping in. If you guys are jumping in, then #live. Let me know that you're live. Smash the heart button. I want the rest of the group to know that this interview is going on. So, and also ask questions, because Troy is a super busy person. He is growing this huge, he already has a movement. And so this is a great time to ask him some questions if you guys have questions. What I want to ask about the one channel focus is,
and I'm wearing Ugg boots too, so you know, genuine Ugg boots here, right? Ugg boot entrepreneur. So.
Uggbootentrepreneur.com. That's like
exactly. It's already taken. I was gonna write a book called Ugg Boot Entrepreneur, but the domain's already taken, I think. So I canned that idea.
Darn. Glenn says, thanks, Michael. Oh, hey Glenn, welcome. So I want to ask you about the focus of one channel. what are the pieces that you're going to put together for it to feel complete for you, for it to feel like, okay, I am done focusing on this channel and I'm going to move on? Is it like money based? Is it what is it, group? Is it like team based? How many people in your team that you built out to? What's that decision making process for you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And it's I'm a bit more organic than that, and I'm a bit more kind of, it's bandwidth. It's like when we can, once the Facebook group, once we've got the strategy dialed in and the Facebook group is growing and sales are coming through, which they are now, but once we've got that to a point where Emily is just kind of reporting back to me once a week and letting me know what's going on, I'm going live in the group. And once we feel like we're in a rhythm and we can take a breath and we can just take a moment and go, wow, this is cool, it's working. I'll check in with the team, which I've never done in the past, but I'm getting much better at this. I'll check in with the team and I'll say, hey, how do you guys feel about, growing another channel? How do you guys feel about growing YouTube? Because YouTube is a lot of work, right? You can't do YouTube half-assed. Well, you can, but there's no point. And we've done it half-assed and there's just no point. Like, it's not growing. So once I check in with the team and the team feel like we've got bandwidth to go all in on YouTube and Emily's got everything she needs to keep running the Facebook group, then we'll go and find a YouTube expert and we'll go all in on YouTube. Our blog is probably, we're kind of ramping up our blog now by bringing in guest authors, because we've got a large community of people who want to blog on our blog. So SEO is also one of the next channels that we've never really focused on SEO. And I like having a mixture of organic and paid traffic to the website because I don't want to be too vulnerable just, relying on paid traffic too much. So Facebook ads are kind of pretty good. The group is ramping up. SEO around the blog, and then YouTube will be the next channels. And it really is just what if the team tell me, yeah, we're good. Like, my videographer pinged me last week and said, hey, dude, I'm kind of all caught up on stuff. I'm not really sure what I should be doing next. I'm like, excellent. That is the best message I can get from any of my team members, right?
Yeah.
Because then, like, the worst message I can get is, hey, dude, I need a day off because I'm burnt out. So I see that as a failure on my behalf, right? I'm like, oh shit, I've just burnt my team. So for example, when Max pinged me last week and said, hey, dude, I'm all caught up. What do you want me to do now? Like, what do you reckon? We just jumped on a call and said, hey, man, what's the most valuable thing we could do? We decided after like a 10-minute phone call, the most valuable thing we could do is collect a whole bunch of video testimonials and case studies from our customers. So he's now working with an automation tool that we send out to our customers to get video testimonials, to build out a massive page of video testimonials from our customers. And he's focusing on that. The reason he's not focusing on YouTube right now is because YouTube is a team-wide strategy. We need someone to design thumbnails. We need someone to produce videos. We need editing. We need copywriting. We need ads. It's a team-wide strategy. Whereas just getting the video testimonials is something that he can do on his own. So it really is a team bandwidth. That's the metric. If the team are ready and they've got bandwidth to go all in and focus on another channel, then we'll do that.
Oh, that's so good. That is such a great answer. Gave me a lot of insight. My next question is, let's say you were to kind of like start over or talk to someone who's just getting into the online space. How would you kind of reverse engineer success because for me, I'm thinking, high ticket, and then you go into lower ticket. Like, what's that process for you if you were to mentor one of your students who are coming in and saying, hey, I want to make it online?
A really good question. So here's what I would do now if I was starting again. I would always start, and this is where I did start, I would start with one-on-one. The reason I would start with one-on-one is because you need to know, there's two things. You need to know that you've actually got something that offers and delivers a transformation to people, right? So when we signed up with you, I looked at, some of your strategies and some of your like templates and the way that you roll out content and the thinking that had gone into the way that you run groups. And I'm like, holy shit, this would take me like a year to figure this out, right? But this is why I'm hiring you, because you've already figured it out. So you've got something that already offers and delivers a transformation to your customer. And a lot of people starting out don't have that. They might have it in their head, but they haven't documented, okay, when I work with someone, they're typically here and they want to get to here, and here are the steps they need to take, and here's the transformation that they're going to experience through working with me. And you learn that really quickly when you do one-on-one consulting or coaching. So that if someone's brand new, I would go, cool, what do you do? I'm a copywriter. Okay. Do you have any case studies or social proof? No. Okay. We need to do some one-on-one work with some clients and write some copy and get them some results. And I know that online courses are the holy grail of all business models, but the challenge with online courses is unless you have an audience or a war chest of cash to spend on ads, they're probably not going to work. You need to have an audience. So online courses would be the last thing I would do, right? What I would do after I've done one-on-one, I would actually build a group mastermind, and I would basically take my one-on-one clients and put them into a group. I'd pivot them into a group. It's going to be cheaper for them, but it's more leverage in it for me. And I would grow a group mastermind or a group coaching program. And the last thing I would do would be online courses, because you need, unless you've already got an audience, you need an audience, you need a Facebook group, or you need an email list, or you need JV partners with massive audiences, or you need to be able to spend heaps of money on ads to build that audience. The first course I launched, we sold 5 copies, and I had an email list of 8,500 people because I didn't know what I was doing. So we sold 5 copies for $197 each. And we had a Facebook group for our students, and one person logged into the Facebook group. That was awkward. And I just refunded everyone and pretended it never happened. And it damaged my confidence so much. It took me 2 years to make another course, right? That was in 2012. So please don't do that, right? You want to make sure that you've got an audience before you launch online courses. So I would go one-on-one consulting / coaching, group coaching, then online courses. And the first thing I would do is start building your audience like now, immediately, either a free Facebook group or your email list. You've got to start building those, every day you've got to be building your audience.
Yeah, every single day. I love your answer. It was very, very complete. I want to ask so you mentioned the things that you made, the mistakes, for different entrepreneurs at different areas, like if they're doing 50,000 a month to 100,000 a month, at certain points, things break. From your own experience, what are those like plateau moments that would break? Is it like a behavioral kind of like change that you have to do for yourself internally to make things go forward? Just like pivotal moments that you yourself have experienced. And then maybe from that, we could gain more insight on what are the things not to do.
Yeah, so it's a good question. So the reality is, as you grow, you need more people to help you, right? So team is super important. And the problem with team is that it usually involves introducing more humans into the equation. And human beings are pretty unpredictable and inconsistent, and they're emotional and they have needs. And so the more humans you introduce into the equation, the more likely things are going to go wrong. And that's just the way it is. So I've been quite deliberate and quite intentional about crafting our values and our vision and our mission over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. And I know it sounds really boring, and I resisted doing this work for a long time because I thought it was woo-woo, and I thought it was like, oh, big corporate have mission statements, and that's a whole bunch of crap, and we don't need that. Well, the vision and the mission and the values for us are super important. And let me give you an example. Michelle, who is our customer success manager, is based in our office in Manila. We have 7 staff in the Philippines. And Michelle recently sent me an email, or a screenshot of an email from one of our customers who's in our high-end mastermind. And she basically needed to pause her membership for a few months due to personal reasons, right? Now, typically speaking, you sign a contract when you join our mastermind. It's a 12-month contract. And she knew that. She said, yeah, I know I've signed a 12-month contract. Here's what's going on for me. I need some time off. I want to come back in January. And Michelle sent me the screenshot, and it was quite detailed, and it was, you know, it was quite a personal challenge that this this customer's going through. And I just said to Michelle in Slack, I just said, wow, what do you think we should do? And she drafted a response and sent it to me in Slack, which basically said, you know, of course we're here for you. We will pause your membership. We'll hold your place open. Go deal with what you need to deal with, and come back and let us know if we can help in any way. And we're here for you to support you through this. And we want, long term, we want you to succeed, and we want to be a part of that success. So don't worry about this right now. This is the least of your problems. Go sort out that other stuff, and then come back when you're ready. And I just clapped in Slack. I put the clap emoji in Slack to Michelle to let her know that that was the perfect response. Now, I trust Michelle implicitly to respond to any situation with any of our customers, because we have 3 values in our business. 1 is help people and have fun. 2 is treat each other like family. And 3 is share the love. They're our 3 values. So Michelle knows that we treat each other as family. So when a family member reaches out and says, I'm in trouble, I need help, I've got some personal shit going on and I need some support, you help them, right? So that's why I don't need to be a part of all those decisions now, because our team understand the values, because they've helped us write those values. They've been really involved in helping us design those values. And the team now know how to make decisions based on those values. So that's the most important thing you can do if you want to remove yourself from the day-to-day minutia, and you want to take yourself out of all of those micro decisions, is to have really strong values that the team help you create. And then the team can use those values to guide their decisions. And we're also really clear about what our vision is. And who's that? Long time.
That is Ron Wilder. He is.
Oh, Ron, dude, how are you, man?
Person.
Yeah, I know Ron. Ron and I hung out in Miami at one of our masterminds. We did a Miami mastermind, and Ron was there. So vision, values, and mission are super important. And the way I think of it is, vision is the world that we're trying to create. We're trying to create a world where every creative digital entrepreneur, predominantly web design agencies, SEO, branding agencies, digital marketing agencies, have the tools and the community and the training they need to build a sustainable, profitable business to support their lifestyle. That's the vision. That's the world that we're trying to create. The values I've just talked about, and the mission that we're on right now is, and it kind of keeps moving and we kind of keep exploring this, but the mission we're on right now is to help 1,000 digital agencies double their profit. So that's what we're working on, right? So that informs all of the other decisions we make in the business.
And by the way, thank you for that answer. That was amazing. Having core values that the team can fall back on, treating your customers like their family, you guys are there for them. That's amazing. I feel like I'm going through the process of building out my team, and I'm like in that stage where I should implement more of those core values. So that has helped me directly a lot. What I want to ask is, how come, and I'm seeing this trend, how come everyone's into helping like agencies or agency work or building out agencies? Why is it that out of all the pathways that you could have done, that agency is such a big choice for you to put a whole mastermind around? What made you decide on that out of everything you could do online?
Well, let me just say this. I there's an agency coach on every street corner now, right? And you know, that's fine. We've been doing this since 2000, and I've been doing this since about 2010. So, you know, I don't want to say that I'm like a trailblazer or like an innovator or anything, but I've been doing this a long time. And the reason is, that's my background. Like I was a web design freelancer when I kind of hit my early 30s, and I was just doing voiceovers and playing music. I got a bit bored, and I realized that I needed more control over my revenue. So I started freelance web designing, and then I built an agency. And I fell in love with WordPress as my platform to build websites. And so then I started building an audience of other web design freelancers and agencies, and they started asking me for help because I was just sharing what worked for me. So I think the reason the agencies are so popular now, well, a couple of things. One, I think there's some really bad messaging online. If I'm completely honest, I think there's a lot of people selling hope that you can, if you're an entrepreneur, you can start your own agency and scale to 7 figures and go live on the beach. And while that's technically true, I think there's a lot of people selling the dream, and an agency is when I say agency, what most people think of is when you say digital agency, most people understand that now, like, oh, we're going to run ads for clients. That's what a digital agency is. We're going to run ads for clients.
Yeah.
Well, that's an advertising agency, right? That's just a very small part of being a digital agency. When I say digital agency, I'm talking about anyone that does digital marketing services for clients. So building websites, SEO, ad campaigns, email marketing, that for me, that's all part of digital marketing. So I think the agency model is one of the easiest to get into because a lot of people need those services. A lot of businesses need those services and they don't have time or the technical expertise to do it themselves. So I think agency model is one of the easiest models to get into, but it's also one of the hardest to scale because it's a client services business model. So one of the things that we teach in our mastermind is how to productize your services into products. We call it the signature system. And I'm really passionate about, here's why I'm passionate about digital marketing. I believe that we live in this time where the technology and the tools and access to technology and tools can empower anyone from any walk of life to have their hands firmly on the wheel of the bus that is their destiny, right? And I'll give an example of Adi, who's in India and is one of our students in our online courses. He was building websites for about $500 since he was about 13 years old. He, for personal family reasons, he couldn't go to university. He basically had to leave high school and look after his mum. And he was really worried. He was earning about $800 a month. And he was really worried about how he was going to survive. And he joined one of our courses that he couldn't afford, but he took the punt and joined one of our courses, learned a bunch of stuff. He sent me a message about 4 months after taking one of our courses that he'd just done a $19,000 month in revenue. He's based in India and he sells digital marketing services to finance companies in New York. He's hired a developer. We've helped him hire another developer, which we found through our network in the Philippines. He's hired a designer. He's got a full-time project manager. He's killing it. Now, he's going to have a whole bunch of other problems as he continues to grow, but he sent me a message on Messenger, which brought tears to my eyes because he's so grateful because he feels now like he has control over his life and his mum, right? Over his mum's life, not control over his mum, but he's got control that he can help his mum. Right? He now has control over his mother. He's controlling his mother. He feels like he has control because he has the skills and he now has the knowledge and the tools and the access to a global marketplace. So that's why I love digital marketing. And I think the reason that people don't succeed is because they don't have access to the tools and the training and the community to support them. And so I've seen the impact that we've had on so many lives around the world. And I say this humbly, but when I travel, I meet mums and dads who are in their 30s, and mum was working the business from home while dad was working at a restaurant. And now dad's quit the job and is working at home full-time in the business with his wife, spending lots of time with the kids. They've got a great family life. They've built a team. They're making more money now than ever. They're spending a lot of time together as a family, and they attribute that success to going through our programs. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning, right? And I can tell you there's a direct correlation between the impact that you have on people's lives and the money that you end up with in your bank account. Those two things are directly related. So I don't focus on the revenue now. I focus on how much we're helping people and the impact that we're having on people's lives, because I know the money will take care of itself. So I think the agency model is really easy to get into. I think a lot of people need services that agencies provide. I think it's a really hard business model to scale because it's client services unless you productize it. And I think a lot of people are attracted to the agency model because there's a lot of agency coaches out there kind of, selling the hope that this is what's possible. And yes, it is possible, but it does take a lot of work. So I think that's why it's become so popular in recent times.
Oh my gosh. Troy, whenever you talk, I'm just like mesmerized. You're very succinct. You teach. I could tell you've been teaching online for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that answer. It's very thorough, and
Sure.
it makes me feel like when I'm going out there and helping people online, maybe I don't see myself as an agency, but I help also entrepreneurs create passive income with creating their own little simple software.
Yeah.
And when they're doing that, like RJ Ahmed, a 19-year-old kid who couldn't afford my program, saved 3 months to get into my program. He's like making thousands of dollars a month from this little tiny simple software, and it enables him to go and be the person driving his own destiny, and he's all the way, in a third world country. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're earning US dollars, and it makes me really excited. And
Totally.
so in your definition, maybe like I am teaching agency. I just don't see it that way, because I'm giving them the tools that they need to take advantage of how the global economy and how they can go ahead and help other people as well as themselves make it on this online journey. And then, I don't know, it's very heartwarming the way you describe it.
Yeah, it is. It's very rewarding, and the reason that full transparency, the reason I got out of client services and got into coaching and teaching is because I wake up every day and there's gratitude in my inbox, whether it's email, our support tickets, Facebook Messenger, whatever it is. I wake up and there's people around the world who are thanking me on a daily basis for the work that we're doing. I never had that when I was doing client services, because when you do client services, you can only service a small amount of clients, right? When you do coaching or educational training, you can impact thousands of people. So you just get more gratitude, and that's like a drug for me. So that's why I pivoted out of client services into coaching and training.
Oh yeah, and there's this saying that's like, oh, if you're doing so well, why are you even teaching it? Why are you telling us about it? And it's because you can overflow yourself with so much gratitude by putting in the work to helping others achieve what they want.
And so here's the thing on that, I get that all the time, right? It's a scarcity mentality. It's a belief system, right? It's I get people all the time leaving comments on our Facebook ads and on, messages, you're full of shit. And if you were so good, you wouldn't be teaching stuff. I'm like, listen, dude, do you really think that back in the days of the caveman, right? What used to happen is they used to sit around the fire at the end of the day and they used to tell stories to each other, right? That's how you hand down what you've learned to other people. And this is the modern day version of that. We're basically telling stories and helping each other, right? Now, if the tribal leaders were so good at going out and hunting the pig and bringing back the pig, right, why would they tell the young ones how to do it? Why wouldn't they just keep all the secrets to themselves? Well, because one day the tribal elders are going to die and they need to pass on that knowledge to future generations, right? That's the way that we've evolved as human beings. When people say, if you were so good at this, you wouldn't teach it, you just do it yourself. That's a belief system that they have. That's a story that they're telling themselves to stop themselves from going down that path and taking that action. And because they can't believe it's possible for them, the easiest thing for them to do is to project that onto the teacher and say, oh, Kim, you're full of shit. If this was so blah, 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 you wouldn't be teaching it. You'd just be doing it yourself, right? So it's taken me a long time to figure that out, but I just don't buy into that mentality anymore because I have an abundant mindset these days. And if you've got a scarcity mindset, that's totally fine, but that's your story. It's not my story. Exactly. Yeah. It's scarcity thinking.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Man, I just love all your answers right now, Troy. Well, so let me ask about what are the biggest challenges, and this might sound like a cliche question, but what are the biggest challenges you've managed to overcome on this journey since 2013 all the way till now? I like to ask this question because your journey is very unique to you, and it will give also me some insight on okay, that's how things are. The reason why I also love talking to people like you is because unless I join a mastermind, which I'm in like 2-year-long ones, unless I join a mastermind and buy into it, I really don't know how it is in the world. It's not like my friend will tell me how it really is. And so that's what I'm searching for in terms of like golden nuggets or,
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So the biggest challenge I've had to overcome, and I think this is a lifelong journey, really. The biggest challenge I've had to overcome is self-belief and imposter syndrome and self-doubt and the stories that you have in your head. And so this is this is very philosophical, Kim. And
I love it.
I'm yeah, good. And so I'm going to get a bit woo-woo here, but I'm all for the woo-woo. I believe that you're only capable of achieving what you can achieve as you perceive yourself. So right now, Troy Dean, as I perceive myself in my subconscious or in my imagination, or the way I see myself in the world, I'm only able to achieve what that version of Troy Dean is able to achieve, right? Because if I was able to achieve more, I would, because I'm not lazy. It's not like I'm sitting in the lounge room playing PlayStation and smoking bongs, right? And neglecting my 3-year-old. I'm working freaking hard, right? If I was able to achieve more, I would achieve more. But I'm only able to achieve this much because that's how I perceive myself in the world. And because I perceive myself as that person, then I take the actions that reinforce that belief that that's who I am. So when I was a struggling freelancer and I used to say things like, no one's going to pay me $5,000 to build a website, then guess what? That was true. No one would pay me $5,000 to build a website because that was my belief. No one will pay me more than $5,000 to build a website. And so therefore, if you can or cannot, whatever you say is true, right? If you say you can, you can. If you say you cannot, you cannot. So what I've done, and a lot of this comes from listening to Brendon Burchard back in 2010. I have to give him credit because he basically, in a really good way, I listened to so much of his content that he basically brainwashed me into believing that I could transcend my past and become a bigger, better version of myself. And I remember telling my brother about this once. And my brother was like, oh, dude, like, you're just brainwashing yourself. And I'm like, yeah, I am. That's right, I am. Because here's the thing. At that point, I had like 34 years of bad messaging that from 0 to 34 years old, I had bad messaging from everyone else in the world that my head was full of. So I actually had to spend a long time getting rid of all that shit and changing the story in my head. And the one thing I've learned is that the more you can tell yourself stories, the more you can change your view of yourself, and the more you can see yourself in a different light, the more you can see yourself becoming a different version of yourself. And as you become a different version of yourself, you take different actions that you previously wouldn't have had the courage to take. For example, let me give you an example. Downloading a Chrome extension called GroupConvert, and 72 hours later, parting ways with a good chunk of money to hire someone called Kim Dang to help me grow a Facebook group, right? And paying for the year up front because I wanted a one-on-one call, right? So that would never have happened 4 years ago because I would have been, oh my God, it's a lot of money and blah, I would have had a different story, right? So the actions that you take dictate the outcomes that you get. Everything in your life is a direct result of the actions that you take. And the actions that you take are informed by the beliefs that you have. This is why we're taught not to talk about religion or politics, because it's a belief system, right? And people will fight to the death to protect their belief system. That's why we're taught, don't talk about religion or politics. I love talking about religion or politics, by the way. Two of my favorite topics, right? So the number one challenge that I've had to overcome is the useless stories in my head that have prevented me from growth. And the way I have done that, and this is where things get a little bit weird because people think I'm a lunatic. The way I have done that is to tell myself stories out loud in the third person. And there's actually a lot of study around this. And I've actually interviewed psychotherapists on my podcast about this very thing. There's actually a lot of research to show that if you talk to yourself out loud in the third person, you are more likely to change your beliefs. So for example, if I say things like, come on, Troy, you can do this. Come on, Troy, your team is X, and come on, Troy, your revenue is X, and hey, Troy, you're blah, blah, blah. If I talk to myself like that, my belief system changes rapidly, right? Whereas if I just keep it in my head, it takes longer for those belief systems to change because it's very hard to lie. When you lie, you feel a bit weird inside, right? You go, oh, fuck, I'm not telling the truth. And it feels a bit icky. So therefore, if I say something and it's a lie or it's not yet true. So for example, if I say, okay, Troy, you are the CEO of a 8-figure-a-year business. Well, that right now is not true. I'm the CEO of a multiple 7-figure-a-year business, but we're not at 8 figures a year. So that is not true. So I would say, hey, Troy, you are the CEO of an 8-figure-a-year business. You've got to act like that, dude. You've got to behave like that. You've got to get off the tools. You've got to delegate more stuff to your team. You've got to do the high-level work. If I say that, there's a part of me that's like, that's not true. I'm not that yet. I know I will be soon. And what I will do then is I will take massive action to shorten the gap between what I'm saying and now, because I want what I'm saying to be true so that I can live congruently and consistently with my beliefs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you are acting. Go ahead.
What informs my actions, right? And my actions is what informs my outcomes. And then my outcomes will get me to 8 figures a year. And then I can go, hey, dude, check it out. And I actually have these moments where I like watch myself and go, far out, man, look at you. You're amazing. What are you doing? Who the fuck are you? What have you done with Troy, right? You're amazing. And it's because I'm talking myself into the future all the time, constantly. I'm that weird guy in the supermarket who talks to himself, right? Out loud. I mumble to myself all the time. My family think I'm crazy. So there you go. That's the big skeleton in my closet. That's kind of how that's the biggest hurdle I've had to overcome, and that's how I overcome it. And I actually taught this at an event in Sydney before the pandemic put us into lockdown last year. I had 250 people in a room at this conference, and by the end of the day, they were all walking around in circles talking to themselves out loud. I got them to do the exercise because I firmly believe that it is a really powerful thing.
Yeah, maybe whoever's listening right now, they're like, hey, I'm gonna have to do that now. There's this magician that I stumbled upon named, first of all, thank you for that awesome
Sure.
answer. I could feel it so hard. And I started doing that as well. And then it started manifesting. But I met this magician named David Lyon, and his whole thing is Lionism, where we get, and he's a magician. So he talks about hypnotism. And he said that when we're on this path, we are dehypnotizing ourselves from everything that we've been hypnotized to believe. So it's like a journey of being dehypnotized. And it's funny because you said it's a journey of brainwashing yourself to know what's the next thing. So a lot of it is so mental. And like I feel it so strongly when you said, hey, this is how I am. This is the business I have, and I'm going to act accordingly. For me, my own shifts happen when I'm like, I'm that person. And what would that person do in this situation? Are they going to, I remember the very first mastermind I invested in, it was like $30,000. And at that time, I have not invested anything close to that ever. So it took a lot of me to go, if I were to be running in this circle with these type of people, if I were that type of person, then I would say yes to that. And that one action saying, if I was that, I would say yes. And because I did say yes, it changed my life completely.
Correct. That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because the moment you made that decision, you now are that person. You're that person that makes that decision, right? I was talking to one of our sales guys the other day. Actually, I listened to a sales call the other day from one of our sales guys, and he said something that just sent shivers through my body. And I pinged him in Slack, and I'm like, dude, that was amazing. He said he lost like 25 kilos at the start of this year in like a short period of time. Like he dropped a massive amount of weight, right? And he said the way I did it is because he said when you focus on when people say I want to lose weight, my answer is that's correct, you do. When people say, I want more money, I say, that's correct, you do. And you will keep manifesting situations where you want more money. And you will keep manifesting situations where you want to lose weight. If you want to lose weight, you will deliberately not exercise and deliberately eat the wrong shit so you can continue to want to lose more weight. It's the wanting to lose weight that's the problem, right? So, and this is why globally, the quit smoking campaign has been an absolute failure, right? And this is why globally there is so much money to be made out of the weight loss, because if weight loss worked, there'd be one company that sold weight loss and you would take that company's product and you'd use it and you'd lose weight. It doesn't work because it starts here. So what Steve said is when I looked at myself and I'm like, I'm not happy with myself. I need to change my shape. He just went, okay, what do fit people do? Fit people don't eat shit and they exercise regularly. Okay, so from now on, I'm not going to eat junk food. I'm going to eat healthy and I'm going to exercise regularly because that's what fit people do. And the simple act of changing his behavior, he became a fit person, right? Instead of focusing on, oh man, I need to lose weight, right? Well, that's correct because overweight people say that. Fit people don't say that. So he just changed who he is by taking a different behavior, a very, very small pivot. Put on your running shoes, do some exercise, don't eat the junk food. Very small behavior. And in a very short period of time, lost a massive amount of weight, like joining the mastermind. Successful people who work in those circles join $30,000 a year masterminds. And it's fear. I call it the resistance. It's the resistance that holds us back from taking those actions. And the resistance is the primitive brain, the amygdala, the lizard brain, the monkey mind, whatever you want to call it. It's that part of the brain protecting you. And don't do that, Kim. Don't do that because you'll spend $30,000 on a mastermind and it won't work and you'll fail and you'll look stupid and you'll have to explain it to your friends and family. So don't do that. It's just easier to stay here and not spend the money. Right? It's designed to protect you. And so my habit with that is to say, thank you. I appreciate that you're trying to protect me, but I'm okay here. I'm not in any danger. Troy's good. Troy's going to do this anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I was just like, what for the past years of my life, what does it look like when I didn't do this?
That's right.
What did it look like? It looked like the same. Looked like I didn't really do anything, pushing myself. And what does it look like if I do this? I don't know what that looks like, but I know for sure the people in there that said yes to themselves, they're looking at the next thing. They're looking at the $100,000 mastermind. They're looking.
That's right.
So it became a very clear yes for me when that happened, but it did take a bit of time.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And to your point, the saying I want to, there are some of my friends, some of my peers, they're like, maybe I'll do that. And even saying the maybe I'll do it, that already kind of stops you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Correct. That's right. Yeah. Language is so important. I did an episode of a podcast with a woman out of, she's out of Berkeley, I think, like Northern California. I can't remember her name. Anyway, there's a lot of research around how the words that you say reinforce the belief system that you have. So if you say, oh, maybe I'll join a mastermind, maybe I'll start my business one day. It's like, no, you're not going to start your business. You just like, what is maybe? Like, so, or if someone says, maybe I'll start my business one day, my answer would be, yeah, that's right. Maybe you will. And you can, and like in 10 years time, you're still saying maybe because you're saying the words that's what you believe. So the easiest way to change your belief is just to change the words that come out of your mouth, right? I don't smoke cigarettes. I smoked cigarettes from the age of 21 because I figured by then it wasn't going to stunt my growth. So I took up the age of 21 and stopped when I was about 33. Right? I started to impress a girl and I stopped because I realized that I actually might want to have a future and some kids with a different girl. And I was actually getting pretty sick smoking cigarettes. So I thought, you know what? I'm just not going to smoke cigarettes anymore. I just made a decision not to put them in my mouth anymore. I read a book which kind of completely changed the way I thought about it. And I'd been trying to quit cigarettes for a long time. I'm like, well, I know why that doesn't work because I don't want to quit. I don't want to deny myself the pleasure of the addiction. So I'm just not going to put cigarettes in my mouth anymore because guess what? Non-smokers don't put cigarettes in their mouth and smokers put cigarettes in their mouth. So I'm just not going to put a cigarette in my mouth. And by default, I became a non-smoker overnight. And it was the easiest thing in the world. Once the decision had been made, it was the easiest thing in the world to execute. So easy. My dad smoked from the age of 12 to 72.
Wow.
He smoked for 60 years and he smoked a lot, right? At the age of 72, he stopped. He smoked his last cigarette, threw the packet in the bin, went cold turkey. No treatment. No, he tried everything. And when he finally did it, he just stopped. And he said it was the easiest thing in the world.
Wow. I don't know if you subscribe to like mental health, but I do. So I got a subscription at BetterHelp and my therapist was like, she said, do you know there are certain boundaries that you will absolutely not cross if like let's say that you won't ever yell at your best friend. Let's say that you have a good relationship with your best friend. You would never, ever yell at your best friend. You would never cross that line. There's a very clear line. And then if you're struggling to form boundaries for other things, remember that very clear line you would never cross for that person and then apply it to everything else. So let's say, you know, you're super angry and then the phone rings. All of a sudden you're like, hello. Yeah. The fact that you can do that and there's a very clear line, that means that the things that you can't do when you go out there and you're like, oh, you know, I keep on spending money and I just can't save. It's like, well, you demonstrate to yourself that you could draw very clear boundaries and just not do the thing or change your behavior in an instant. So why doesn't it apply on here? And so your answer reminds me of that, like, the way that you just change your mind, it happens in a moment and you have that power in you this whole time. So
it's just a decision and decisions can take you a long time to make a decision, but the actual decision is made like that. The actual decision is made in a heartbeat, but it can take a long time to make that decision because of the resistance. Because the resistance is forecasting what are the consequences of this decision. And the resistance is trying to protect you from the consequences of that decision. But when you work through the resistance, usually by talking to your friends and talking to your family or talking to your therapist or talking things through, you work through the resistance. When you finally work through the resistance and you realize the resistance is not there anymore, you make the decision like that and it's done and it's easy to execute then because the resistance is gone. It's fascinating. It's really interesting. My wife's a psychologist, so we talk about this stuff quite a bit.
Your wife? Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
It's all in the head, man. It's all like it all starts here. 99.9% of it is just what's going on here.
Yeah. Ron says, Liz says, Troy. Liz says hi.
Hi.
So Troy, my interviews to respect your time is like an hour long. So we're at the closing end of it. I want to ask something super tactical before we go. What are the tools? You know how you stumble upon, you use a lot of software, you use a lot of things. What are the tools that are what tool is transformational for you that you have to give a shout out to that have changed your business? Is it like a sales? And this is kind of a selfish question for me because I'm always trying to figure out like what's the best software out there that have really changed the game for you. It could be only one or it could be two that have massively changed the way that you do things.
That's a big question. So I'm a software junkie and I eat software for a living. I mean, we've just got so much software in the business. It's crazy. So, I mean, so obviously I want to give a shout out to GroupConvert because it's we've just started using it recently and it's amazing. So thank you. We couple that with a piece of software we're using at the moment, which is really good, is called Chat Silo. And it's basically a CRM tool for Messenger, which means multiple people can be interacting with people in Messenger as the same person, but we can tag them and color code them in Chat Silo so that we know where they're up to in the conversation. So we can kind of move them through a sales process and through a funnel. Other software that our software stack is, WordPress. I have to say WordPress has completely changed my life. When I learned how to use WordPress and started building websites for clients, that completely changed my life. And I'm very grateful to Matt Mullenweg and Mike Little, who started WordPress. We use Infusionsoft as our main CRM, which I hate. I have a love-hate relationship with it. It's extremely powerful, but God, it's clunky and expensive. ActiveCampaign is super, super good. Pipedrive I really like for our sales pipelines and sales process. There's a cool piece of software I found the other day, which if you just give me 2 seconds, I'll tell you what it is. So I'll tell you what what I live in these days is Whimsical. So Whimsical is a visual workplace. It's mind maps, Kanban boards, sticky charts, flow charts, process maps, all in one. It's amazing. It's like my virtual whiteboard. I love Whimsical. And so I'm just diving into Whimsical right now to have a look at this other piece of software that I found yesterday, which is, and the reason I found this, here we go. The reason I found this, pnl.ink, the reason I found this is because I was looking for the quickest and easiest way to get paid online without having a website, right? And I found this tool called Pay Now Link. So the domain name is PNL, P for Peter, N for November, L for Lima, .ink, which is kind of a cool extension, cool domain extension, .ink, PNL.ink. What it allows you to do is connect to your Stripe account, and then it generates a link that you can text someone or email someone, and they can literally buy your product or your subscription on their mobile device or their computer by just going to the Pay Now link, putting in their details, and connecting straight to your Stripe account. So you don't need a website. It's like a really sexy version of PayPal, and it looks amazing. My wife is selling an online course at the moment over Messenger, and they're doing bank transfers, and I'm like, oh, dude, come on, that's just putting speed humps in front of people. Like, just use this and give them this button that they can click on and go put their credit card details in, and then the payment's made. So I love the fact that there are all these little tiny widgets around. They take like 0.5% of your revenue, 1% of your revenue as a fee. I love the fact that all these little widgets are around that solve really specific problems that make our lives as digital entrepreneurs easier. So yeah, that's the little tool I found this week. That's kind of cool. And StreamYard, which we're in right now. StreamYard is amazing. How good is StreamYard?
I love StreamYard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nico says PNL. Yes. So yeah. I love technology. That's why part of my heart, I own software. So part of my heart goes into like, woo, what else is out there?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've heard a lot. I've heard Pipedrive, I've heard ActiveCampaign, but I just like hearing like Whimsical. What is that? I want to explore. Yeah,
Whimsical's great.
And PNL.ink, that is so amazing. But with that said, that was my last question, Troy. So if someone from my audience wants to follow you, learn what you're all about, where can they go to follow you online?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I probably should tell them about the Facebook group, right? That's what we talk about. So the Facebook group, which I know some people here are already in, it's called Digital Mavericks. So just go to Facebook and search for the Digital Mavericks Facebook group. That's where I'm most active, and that's probably the best place to get hold of me. I don't use Twitter at all. Some people still reach out to me on Twitter, but I don't know. I don't get it. Is Twitter still a thing? I don't really use it much. I'm just really active on Facebook and in our groups. So the Digital Mavericks Facebook group is the best place.
That wasn't my last question. Actually, my last question was the whole point of this interview, which was, how are you selling $1,500 programs through Messenger? And if it's such a long question, if it's such a long answer,
no. No, I've actually thought about this. So first of all, mindset, right, is people are joining a Facebook group because they're looking for answers. So understand this: when someone joins your Facebook group, they are looking for a solution to something, right? They're not. Most people are not there because they're bored or they need friends. Most people join a Facebook group because they're looking for answers to a solution. So what we do is when people join our Facebook group, we get them into Messenger. We ping them in Messenger and just say, hey, Kim, thanks for joining the Facebook group. We just want to make sure that we're serving our group members the best we can. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions? And my VA does this. Alejandra does this. And most people are like, yeah, cool, no worries, ask away. And so we just there's basically 3 steps to this process. The first is you want to get the problem, right? So what is the problem that they've currently got? And so we will say something like, hey, can you just tell us what's the biggest challenge right now in your business? And they'll tell us what the biggest challenge is, steady stream of clients, building recurring revenue, growing my team, whatever it is. We go, cool. The next thing we want to do is, first of all, I acknowledge the problem and I normalize it. I go, yeah, cool. Sounds like a very familiar story. I've heard this a lot of times. It's totally normal to be experiencing this. So I'm just validating and acknowledging and letting them know that this is normal. Then I want to get the impact. So the first thing is get the problem. Second thing is get the impact. So I say, hey, Kim, what would be the impact if you could grow your team and bring on 3 new team members in the next 3 months? And then you will tell me things like, usually people just like tell you their life story, right? They're like, well, I'm not spending enough time with my kids. And I'm like, I'm 40 years old and I spend no time with my kids. And my wife's starting to ask me, is this business going to work? And blah, 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 blah. And so what you're basically doing then is getting them to self-identify how important it is that they solve this problem. Once we've got the impact, we might just ask them a point blank question like, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it that you solve this? And they might go 6. We go, okay, cool. Thanks. That was really interesting. And the conversation might stop there. If they're like 9 or 10, then we might ask them a couple of clarifying questions like, all right, what are your revenue goals for the next 12 months? Where do you want to be monthly revenue for the next 12 months? And they'll tell us. And we might say, cool, if you don't mind me asking, where are you at now with revenue? And they'll tell us. And if we think, all right, this person has a problem that we can actually fix, they've got enough revenue that they can make a $1,500 investment, they've got realistic goals, we think they're a good fit, then we will say something like, hey, I'm putting together a case study program and we've only got, and we usually close this off every couple of weeks, right? So I say, I've only got a couple of spots left, which is true. I've got a video explaining how it works. Are you happy for me to send you the video? And I always get permission from them and they go, yeah, cool, happy to have a look at it. And then in the video, I basically just walk them through a Google Doc, which explains everything that's in the program, how it works and how much it is and what the value proposition is and what the benefits are and what the transformation is that they're going to experience. And I get them to watch the video, which is just a Loom video. And then I just say, let me know if you're in or out because I need to know the numbers by the end of the week. Or, we need to know the numbers by the end of the day. And if they say, I'm in, I go, cool. Or they might come back and say, hey, I'm in, but, do you have any payment plans? We go, yeah, cool. It's 1,500 or 3 by 500 or 5 by 300. If you really want to do that, I'm happy to do that as well. So then they choose their payment plan. We send them to a checkout form. They buy and they're in, and then they're in the program. If they're not in, totally cool. All right, man, no worries. I'll let you know when we're opening it up next, and hopefully you can jump in next time. And we've had people join the group, join our Facebook group, and join the program within 24 hours, and they're in a case study program within 24 hours of joining the group. So I was skeptical about this when we first started talking about it, but what I've realized is that people who join the group, there's a percentage of people who join your group who actually don't want to be in your group. Like there's a percentage of people who download your Chrome extension who actually don't want the Chrome extension. They just want to pay you lots of money to coach them how to grow their Facebook group. That's what I was actually looking for when I downloaded your Chrome extension. The Chrome extension was just the gateway drug to get you as a coach to help us grow our Facebook group, right? So a lot of people who, not a lot, a percentage of people who join your Facebook group actually don't want to join the Facebook group. They want a solution to a problem that they're trying to solve. And if you've got a solution, then you should offer it to them when they join your group. Because otherwise, why are you hiding it from them? Because they're just going to go find it somewhere else. They're going to go buy a solution from someone else, right? Because they've joined your group and they're like, well, now I still have this problem. and I still haven't solved it. So I'm going to go find somewhere else to try and solve it, and I'll buy someone else's program.
Yeah, no,
So,
that is amazing.
so the 3 steps are: get the problem, get the impact, get the sale. They're the 3. That's the 3 steps. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. My funnel itself sends you into figuring out the problem and then ascends you. But I didn't think about like just doing that. And the technology you mentioned is so simple. Loom, Google Document.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, and we just use Chat Silo for Messenger, which is like a CRM for Messenger, which just allows us to see where people are at in the process, which is just a Chrome extension. Chat Silo is just a Chrome extension. So that's it. I mean, and a checkout page, right? And if you don't have a checkout page, just use Pay Now, like pnl.ink, and you've got a button, a link you can give to people, and they can go put money in your Stripe account, and they're in the course, right? And then you just send them an email with the details, and off you go.
Amazing. Amazing.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, Troy, thank you so much for coming in today. You guys, Troy has everything under the sun, from courses to masterminds to everything like that. You can tell he's just so good. I love all your answers. So good. So if you guys are going to follow him, make sure that you join Digital Mavericks, get into the group. You'll probably experience that conversation with him, and maybe ascend into his higher level programs. So thank you so much today, Troy.
Oh yeah, if you like that video, then you will love all the resources that I have over at kimcdang.com. That is KIMCDANG.com. There you will find all my courses, my extensions, all the offers that I have, as well as a lot of free resources if you are just getting started.